Guys, this is video number 2 that I'm shooting today on my ride home, my adventures in traffic. Ooh, that's what I'm gonna call it. That's what I'm gonna call this playlist, Adventures in Traffic. Okay, cool. We got that out of the way. So yeah, help me come up with an idea. Adventures in Traffic. So Adventures in Traffic, episode 3, day 2, episode 3, right? So this one I want to talk about. How am I gonna? Let's say bossing up, right? And I hate using that term because everybody wants to be a boss. I guess we could blame that rapper for that. I ain't gonna say his name because I ain't giving nobody no publicity. But I'm a boss. You know what I'm talking about? I'm a boss. That guy. But I want to talk about bossing up. I'm a boss. So everybody wants to be a boss, but nobody wants to pay the cost to be the boss. Shout out to the other rapper, goes by Uncle Dizzle. You know what I'm talking about? What's the Dizzle Nizzle? That guy. Because again, I ain't giving nobody no publicity, but everybody want to be a boss, but nobody wants to pay the cost to be the boss, right? And I'm not just talking about money. Like, yes, if we're talking about business, you do have to finance business, right? Everything requires finance. But I'm not talking about that kind of cost. Fix my armrest. I'm talking about doing what is necessary to be a boss, to be somebody of a person of respect, a person of renown, right? Because it's not always about business, but it's about how you conduct yourself, and it's about how you, as we say in Philly, it's about how you carry it, right? Shout out to my peoples from Philly. It's about how you carry it. And you can work for somebody, you can be an employee and still be a boss, right? Like, you don't have to own a business. You can have a side hustle and be a boss. You could volunteer and be a boss. You could be a manager and be a boss. You can be at the lowest totem pole at the job and be a boss. It's about confidence, right? And I don't mean arrogance, because you have some people who tell you to be a boss and they come off as arrogant. Whether they're arrogant or not, I'm not making that judgment, but I'm saying it's a thin line. It's a fine line between cockiness and confidence, or arrogance and confidence, right? It's a fine line. And there's nothing wrong with being confident. But you also can't act like sunshine and flowers grow out your behind, because ain't nobody that special. Now, we have people we put on pedestals and we make them think they're that special, or some people think they're that special for whatever reasons, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about being confident in yourself, just knowing that you are capable of handling business or completing a task, or being somebody that is dependable. That's being a boss, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily mean you're providing employment for people. The fact that you can get up every day and go to work, you're a boss, right? Like, you own the day. Carpe diem, right? You seize the day. You can be a boss, or you can be somebody of high level and still work for somebody else. I'm not saying because you are serving in a subservient position that you are subservient as a person, right? Because a lot of people misconstrue the fact that you're working for somebody else, or somebody else is cutting your check, that makes you less than the person who's cutting your check. It doesn't. Because at the end of the day, we're all people. We all breathe air and bleed red. So just because I'm coming to you for employment, or you're helping me out with something, doesn't mean that you're better than me. Like, I know a person, they own a business, but they are arrogant. And they know some people that I know, and I dealt with them for a time on different levels. and I'm not trying to put him out there. I do not dislike this person, but I don't like some of their ways, right? And they'll ask family members, "Oh, how's so-and-so doing?" "Oh, he's fine." "If you want to know, why don't you call me and ask me?" Right? Because I realize that certain people I only talk to when I call them. And you got to treat people how you want to be treated. You know, if I'm an important person to you, you will make time to call or shoot a text or write an email. Some people don't do that. Some people think it's your job to reach out to them, as if saying they are better than you, or you're subservient, or you're not equal to them. And that's not the case. Now, you can say I'm better than somebody. Like, okay, let's say, you know, you did all the right things in life, right? You graduated school, you went to college, you never got into any trouble with the law, and you could have somebody who never cared their whole life, and they didn't finish school, and they didn't go to college, and they've been in and out of penitentiaries and institutions, and you could think that you're better than them. You may be in a better position legally, but you're still not better than them, right? They could have more money than you. They could have more street money. They could be a bona fide hustler out here in these streets, getting to it, 6 figures and 7 figures, 8 figures. I know a couple 6, 7, 8 figure street dudes, and some of them are some of the most humble people. You know why? Because they not trying to get jammed up with the law. They treat everybody with respect until that line is crossed. And some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But they would be considered a boss, right? Like, they go out here in the streets, and I'm not condoning what they do. I'm just talking about personality types and what people do and how they act in life. But in order to make it in the streets or in any aspect of life, you need confidence, right? Like, I was watching a show, one of the shows with the rapper that's producing all of these shows, you know what I'm talking about? And it was with the Caucasian gentleman who just got his first spin-off, first episode. Little situation was going down, and they had some young men. They were doing a drug deal, right? And the two Caucasian young men, they were nervous, and you could tell they were high as a kite. And they pulled guns, and he was like, "This your first deal, ain't it? You popping your cherries right now." He's like, "No, we've done deals before." But he knew, because they were nervous, he was ultra confident, because for him it was a walk in the park, right? But that's what it's about. It's about being confident. And he bossed the room, right? He bossed the situation. And them other dudes wound up, one of them lost his life. And this is just television, but it's an analogy. Street life, real life, fictional life, reality TV and fictional TVs and series and all of that stuff. But it's about being a boss. It's about having confidence. And people can tell when you're not confident, and they take advantage of that. And the last thing you want is to be taken advantage of. You don't want anybody to have you in a situation, and you definitely don't want to put yourself in a situation where you let somebody take advantage of you. And some people don't realize that they are exuding a lack of self-confidence. And when you're not self-confident, you can't help how you come off to other people, right? And it's okay to not be self-confident. But once you know you're not that self-confident, you need to work on building self-confidence. You hear a lot of these new ager, crunchy, granola hippie people talking about affirmations and law of attraction and all of that. But what they're not telling you is you need to look in the mirror and tell yourself, "I got this. I can do this. I'm a boss." I'm trying to go around this bus. I'm a boss. And that's one thing that I've learned. I've had times where I wasn't as confident as I should have been in situations. Or maybe I had to dial back my confidence because it would have been a disadvantage in the moment, right? If you've ever read the 48 Laws of Power or The Art of War, appear weak when you're strong and appear strong when you're weak. And sometimes that's just called playing the game, right? Sometimes you got to make people think that you are not as confident, and I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes, it's situational, right? Like, it's circumstantial. Sometimes you got to play things by ear and make it seem like you don't know what's going on, or you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know how to handle yourself. It's like pool sharks. They shoot around at the pool table and they look terrible, and somebody comes up like, oh man, you want to play a game, and they play a game, and they lose the first game, and you want to play for some money, and they lose the first hand, and then the next person gets extra confident, and then they say, what do you say we go, the pool shark says, what do you say we go double or nothing? And then they change the dynamic, and that confidence comes out, and then they start tearing that table up. Next thing you know, you walking out of there, you lost your rent money because you was dealing with somebody that was confident, and they understood that they were confident, and they played you. Now, the reverse of that is when people know you're not confident, you get played. And the last thing you want is to get played, because this ain't a joke. Life ain't a game. But in order to operate out here, you need some kind of self-confidence. You need to be able to stand up tall with your chest out and your chin up. And that's not always easy to do when you haven't been taught, or you haven't had to learn those dynamics personally from experience. Because you can read stuff in a book, but it's a difference between theory and application, right? You can read theory all day. I can read all the stuff from medical school, but if I've never worked on a cadaver, you can't send me in the room to perform heart surgery, because I'm going to kill somebody. That's how it goes, right? But those people who have had the theory and they've practiced the application, those surgeons walk into that room with uber confidence, and they're going to save lives. Now, sometimes they lose lives. Yeah, that's part of the game. But they are confident in their skill level of operation, knowing that I done practiced this 10,000 hours makes an expert? Well, they may have 20,000 hours under their belt. I don't know. I don't know the stats on that. There's some YouTubers that come out here and they can tell you all the numbers. The unemployment is up, and shout out to them. This is no shot at them. Unemployment is up and inflation is up, and this is how you should maneuver. But they are confident because they've been doing this for so long. They can tell you how to move and maneuver to put yourself in a better position. And with time, following the right steps, you may become this confident person in whatever field we're talking about. But that's the keys to being a boss, right? The first is having confidence, paying the cost to be the boss. Now, you get yourself set up, you get some finances in order. Yeah, you can be out here playing Monopoly in real life. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what this is about. This is not about business. It could be applicable to business, but what I'm saying is confidence is the name of the game. I do some women back in the day. I'm married now, thank God, and my wife is beautiful. But I knew some women back in the day, God forgive me, was butt ugly. All God's creatures are beautiful, but these women were not physically attractive. Now, they may have had some curves or some, lovely lady lumps, as the song says, but they weren't pretty. But what they had was confidence. And they had every dude in the neighborhood chasing them down because they wanted a piece of that pie, because these girls was confident. And some of these girls had nasty attitudes, which in my book makes you ugly automatically. You could be beautiful, but if your attitude is nasty, nah, I'm good. And I was never attracted to women who were unproportionately confident, right? There's nothing wrong with being confident. It's nothing wrong with, being beautiful and standing in that quality. But when you get to the point where you're too good for everybody and I gotta chase you down. Like, men like the thrill of the hunt, but at some point the lion give up too, right? Like, if he can't outrun that gazelle, listen, we gonna get dinner somewhere else. We ain't chasing that gazelle no more. So there's a such thing as having too much confidence, but there is also a thing of having too little confidence. I don't want to say zero, because some people have some, just not enough. And those are the people that get taken advantage of. And people who are predators, be it men or people in business, they can smell prey, especially men in the female dynamic. We know when a woman has daddy issues, when she's lacking self-confidence, if she's been physically abused, or she's got, something a little wrong upstairs. Men prey on that. I've been in relationships where I've told women, listen, in the event that we don't work out, don't fall for every nice car and shiny suit you see, because these men are wolves. And that's how it is in life. Dog eat dog, survival of the fittest. It's the same thing across the board. Business, love, regular relationships, is dog eat dog. And people prey on those who do not have confidence. They prey on the weak. So the point of this is me saying, stay confident. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't be nobody's doormat. Boss up. That's what it is. Yo, the show won't stop.